Yeah. You ready? Courtney, you good? All right. You're good. All right. It is 8:30, calling the meeting to order. We'll have an invitation. Commissioner Hine.
Lord, your word in Psalm 106 says, "Blessed are those who keep justice. Today may all that we do and say be that just and righteous and worthy of your calling." And Father, I also especially lift up those affected by the flood. We pray blessings of comfort and grace and mercy on those who lost loved ones in the flood. Please put your angels in your protection round about them. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
I'm going to take the privilege here, Commissioners. I'm going to have a moment of silence for that. And I know that we also want to be mindful of one of our own commissioners is over there at Equisearch, searching for survivors and victims. Okay, so we're going to take a moment. Okay, Ernie,
Yes,
roll
sir.
call, please.
Yes, sir. Chairman Rick Figueroa,
Here.
Vice Chairman Tom Butler, Dr. Ray Callis, Dr. Gary Weston,
Here.
Commissioner Nora Castaneda,
Here.
Commissioner Lori High,
Here.
Commissioner Shajit Rakshram. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion to excuse absence for the commissioners. I'll make that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. All right, we're gonna go to item C, commissioners, which is public comment. We're accepting public comments in writing and in person. Commissioners, any written comments have been received, have been provided to you. If you are here for a contested case, we'll call you when you get your agenda item. If you want to speak, please fill out a public comment form you turned in, and we'll call your name. I'm gonna read these instructions in general for everybody, so thank you for being here. Please say your name and who you represent. You have 3 minutes to speak. Please understand that the commissioners are not allowed to ask questions or engage in a discussion with you about anything that's not specifically on our agenda. Please also understand that the commissioners cannot hear any information about a pending complaint or enforcement case because we may have ultimately the decision maker in that case. All right, we're gonna go with Tommy Hinsiger and Rob Dabilski. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Morning, board.
Go ahead and grab this chair right there.
Oh, great.
Okay, did you guys understand the instructions?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Okay, you have 3 minutes. You go ahead and go.
Good morning, board. My name is Tom Henniger. I'm the director of training for WACO USA and USA Kickboxing. And we would like the board to consider including WACO USA in your sports for the state of Texas. So there's opportunity for us here, obviously, to work with you and your athletes in the great state of Texas. But I'd like to also stress the opportunity that we're going to bring you. So WACO USA is the only organization in the United States that's recognized by the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee. We're a member of the Affiliates Organization Council, and we are the only organization worldwide to be recognized by the International Olympic Committee. So whatever the Olympics puts on, not just the Olympic Games, but also some other things that Rob will talk about, WACO is the only organization in the US and worldwide that can bring fighters to these events. So we would offer that to your Texas athletes, a pathway to the very top. And also, because I'm the director of training, what I would like to stress is the program that I put together for officiating. So it stresses safety. And that's what we'll bring to your athletes, that they'll come and they'll compete at the highest levels and still be very, very safe. We had the very first safe sport policy for combat sports in the US, even before the US Olympic Committee, we had our own. And the program that I put together for officials is now been taken by Great Britain and Croatia, Ireland, and a couple of other countries are looking at the program that we've created because of that safety factor. And I would ask President Zabilski to say something.
Thank you for your
Can I
time.
just ask WACO or what?
WACO is the World Association of Kickboxing Organizations,
WAKO.
Okay.
and they are recognized by the IOC. And USA Kickboxing is recognized by the United States Olympic Paralympic Committee. With that being said, we're the only organization that can offer athletes in the state of Texas the opportunity to compete in the World Games, the World Combat Games, the military games, college games. Our world championships have over 80 countries that participate. And the athletes would have an opportunity to do that and hopefully be in the future Olympics. We just got recognition in 2023. So we are the last sport not to get picked in the last Olympic selection. With that being said, we have a very unique scoring system that we'd like to implement if we're able to do events here in Texas, so those athletes don't compete at a disadvantage when they represent us and our country overseas. We're approved in several states like California, Florida, Arizona, Nevada, Ohio, and we'd like to be approved here.
Where's your base? Oh, excuse me.
We're out of Chicago. I appreciate your time. Thank you for your consideration.
And I'm sorry, we just have a standard.
Yep, I
Yeah,
understand.
so welcome. Thank you for being here. We got some staff here that I'm sure you'd like to talk to.
Yep.
So thank you so much, gentlemen.
Appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Alan Downs.
Sir, we're both together.
That's fine. You can both sit there. Did you understand the instructions? I read
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Okay, 3 minutes. Go ahead and go.
Heck, do you want to start with the boxing?
Hi. Yes, I'm Hector Vasquez with the USA Combative Sports Association. This association that we're starting is going to be two divisions, one for amateur boxing, one for amateur MMA. The amateur side will be really focused on the elite fighters where there's a major deficiency and a gap where they're kind of lost from transitioning from the amateurs to the pros. Obviously, being boxing is a very dangerous sport. There's really no guidance, no knowledge. And what we want to do is create high level tournaments, but also do training as far as for the business side, as far as the weight losses, in order for them to transition from the amateurs to the pros. Obviously, with that, we want to incorporate officiating, refereeing, and all that good stuff. That'll be more on the boxing side, and then I'll let Alan talk about the combative, the MMA side.
So with the MMA, thank you for having us today, by the way. With the MMA side, we want to target the youth. I'm the chief of officials for our area here in Texas for USA Boxing. With all the programs that we have on the boxing side, we don't have that in MMA here in Texas. You know, we do have other promoters that do amateur, but we want to develop something similar. I don't want to reinvent the wheel, but also because I do have an MMA background when I was younger, we want to be able to offer this to the children, our youth groups that, you know, we will have liability insurance, accidental insurance that we will offer through the gyms, more tournaments, that we can provide also scholarships for the children like we do with USA Boxing. We just put a young kid through law school. You know, not everybody is going to cut out to go to the pros, so we want to be able to offer that through the tournaments, giving them, you know, a lot more education, also educating officials like I do with the USA Boxing, and just grow this out. And also, I'm working on developing a, you know, with your blessing, to develop similar like we have with the Golden Gloves, because I oversee the Texas Golden Gloves, the Dallas Golden Gloves, and Fort Worth. So we want to do that with the MMA style to implement it here in Texas, to regional, then a state, and then prayerfully down to nationals.
Yeah, and that this time, like I said, with y'all's blessing and we have the backing of the WBC, I think we can definitely do really good things for these young kids that do definitely need the help. Thank you for your time.
Exciting to hear, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming here and being part of this meeting.
Thank you.
So much. Amendment. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
How are you? Did you understand the instructions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, get 3 minutes, go ahead.
Good morning, commissioners and executives. My name is Amanda Calicut, and I'm here this morning representing Moms Advocating for Moms Alliance. I would like to first start off with a very large and sincere thank you to Doug Jennings, who has been my main point of contact for the last couple of months. He has been responsive when no one else has, and he has offered insights that also no one else has. I had lots of things that I wanted to say today, and I have been preparing for this meeting since the last time I was here to address you all. In the time since our last encounter, I have requested countless records, and it has become very apparent that the Open Records Department is severely lacking. I have requests that have been open for months, some that were closed and not completed, and in some cases, they are citing incorrect Attorney General rulings. And I believe you all have seen some of my correspondence regarding these issues, but alas, these issues are still ongoing, and the only help I have received is from Doug, who is but one person in the grand scheme of things. I understand that major changes are coming with the addition of the Lottery Commission and charitable bingo from the 89th session, and that is probably taking precedence with the department, and midwifery is still not of major concern. It is a major concern for our organization. License renewals are not being tended to in a timely manner or being updated on the website. Complaints are not being reviewed and either dismissed or prosecuted in a timely manner. I have also recently come to find that while violations have been found in previous cases, there were warnings issued and no action taken, or the action taken in cases where there was loss of life is so insignificant it would deter anyone from making a complaint in the first place. The department has given fines ranging from $3,000 to $10,000 and revocation of license for 1 year in cases where Texas moms and babies have lost their lives. In some of these cases, those midwives have continuously disregarded the rules and laws of midwifery in Texas, but TDLR still does nothing. During our last encounter, I asked one of the directors about inspections for midwifery licensees, to which she stated that I would need to enact new legislation in order for TDLR to carry out inspections for that specific license. During my research, I found that during the 87th session, the Sunset Committee wrote a law under the Occupations Code, Chapter 51, Section 211, for risk-based inspections. That is not specific to any license type, but is currently only being done on a few licenses, including vehicle storage, towing, auto parts, massage establishments, and barbers and cosmetologists. In cases where there's loss of life, a Texas mother or baby, or severe medical negligence alleged in a complaint, I believe it is appropriate to initiate risk-based inspections for those midwifery licensees. The Midwifery Advisory Board hasn't met since October of 2023 and has had 3 vacant spots since January. I know there are several midwives who have applied for spots on the board and as experts and have never been contacted by the department. There are moms and babies who have lost their lives and experts are needed in those cases, yet no one on TDLR side is taking action until a consumer or organization demands it.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate your time today. Okay, commissioners, we'll now go into executive session, consult with our attorney under section 551.071, subsection 1, 551.071, subsection 2, 551.074 in the government code. Time is 8:43. After session, we'll take a break. We'll be back here. Doug, I'm looking at 30 minutes,
30 to 40 minutes, I'd say.
40 minutes. So let's go with, let's say 9:15. I think it'll be fine. 9:15, pick up on any action items to executive session and begin the contested case.
And Chairman, do you want to take it across the hall? since
Yes,
now-
yes, keep everybody here.
Everybody can stay in here.
We don't have anybody virtual. session. Time is 9:49. There are some action items for the executive session.
Yes. Sitting here going, yeah, I'd like to make a motion. Due to the increase in responsibilities and the level of expertise that we need here, getting the lottery and all, I wanted to make a motion to raise the executive director's salary to $235,000.
Second.
Is there a second? All right. Any discussion? Okay. I want to tell you personally, thank you. I know the team holds the staff, you guys have taken on a lot. It's not gone unnoticed, and adjustments are going to be made. So we appreciate your efforts in this. We appreciate what you've done, Courtney. Standing job, drink from fire hose. So I'll take a vote on the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. All right. I need a motion for the minutes.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, before we move on, we will need an effective date for that,
Increase.
for that increase, yes.
Okay. So do the September 1.
Can we, I'm sorry, just
Can you
for
include that?
formality, can we,
Are you okay with the friendly?
Yeah,
and then the
yeah,
motion,
September 1. We'll
and
make
get a
that.
second and
Okay, go ahead, Raymond, make that motion.
Oh, I'll go ahead and amend the motion.
To raise the salary to 235.
Oh,
effective
okay.
9.
Oh, I gotta redo. I thought we just added. Okay, yeah, to raise it to 235,
effective September 1st,
effective September 1st.
okay?
You still second?
A second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right.
Thank you.
All right, I need a motion for the minutes. Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, okay. We're gonna go on to the contested cases, commissioners. If anyone is here appearing in person for a case today, you'll be called up when your case is announced. We'll hear from the prosecutor first, and then we'll respond. Actually, I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna save this instruction. Okay. We're gonna go to item G5 on the case, Mr. Luke. Come on.
You can.
You're doing the translate, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna read these instructions to you, if you make sure she understands, if you don't mind, okay? And then we'll go from there. Okay. How fast do you want me to do this, or how slow? You just let me know. I'm gonna try to give you some space, okay?
Yeah, just with break so I can take.
Okay. We'll hear from the prosecutor first, and then we'll hear from the respondent, which is you. We'll have an opportunity to speak. Make sure you speak clearly and say your name and who you represent. Each side will have 5 minutes to speak with 3-minute possible rebuttal, 3 minutes rebuttal.
先是那个律师讲，是讲，然后先进去。
If you could speak a little louder, I know we backhand you, but just for the record, if you don't mind,
Sure.
okay? This is important. Please understand that the commission is only considering information that is in the record from when the case was heard at the SOA hearing. So make sure you limit your comments to those matters and was presented at the SOA hearing meeting.
Okay,
Okay?
okay.
All right, Jessica, if you don't mind, whatever pace she can go at.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jessica Hurtado, and I'm a prosecutor in the Enforcement Division. The ALJ recommends that you deny Wei Hong Liu's application for a massage therapist license based on her criminal history.
他这介绍说，这个 case 就是说，被拒绝那个当地的根据。
In September 2020, the applicant was arrested in Georgia for prostitution. On her criminal history questionnaire, the applicant denied that she was selling illicit sexual services.
2020的中学这个。
Morning.
The case was resolved via a pretrial diversion agreement. Then in October 2020, the applicant was arrested in Wisconsin.
那个Georgia 解决了，但是Wisconsin 州2022
2020.
2020 Wisconsin.
Advertising on an illicit website offering sexual services led police to the hotel room where the applicant was staying. When police searched the hotel room she was staying in, they found 50 condoms, baby wipes, and baby oil.
他说他们有看到广告，就说有接受卖这个事情，然后他们在旅馆发现有50个那个套避孕套，这润滑剂。
When questioned by police, the applicant admitted that she had seen approximately 6 men in the hotel room. As a result, the applicant was convicted of prostitution.
警察询问的时候，承认有跟6个人有关。
In 2023, the applicant applied for a massage therapist license and answered no when she was asked if she had ever been convicted of a criminal offense.
他说2023年申请报考那个产品辅导的时候，你说你有没有过犯罪记录？
During the hearing, the applicant testified that in Georgia, she found the job on the internet and that in Wisconsin, she was providing massage therapy services in her hotel room.
他说在 Wisconsin 是在旅馆是提供的是杀菌食物。
In analyzing the Chapter 53 factors, the ALJ notes that the applicant's prostitution conviction occurred when she was 43 years old.
他说在那个申请表上说有43岁的时候，什么卖的时间。
And that the offense occurred 4 years ago. Additionally, the ALJ finds that applicant's conviction for prostitution just a few months after being placed on a pretrial diversion program for the same offense.
他说你application 上面13，然后其实是没有多久以前的，办的时候。什么时候 ？What's the time frame?
You
The
mean
last
repeat it?
one. The last one, yeah.
That the offense occurred 4 years ago?
4年前，在哪里？Where?
In Wisconsin.
Oak Creek, right?
Wisconsin 州。对，这个是2次吗 ？So total 2 incidents.
Correct.
Go ahead, Jessica.
This indicates the applicant has not made efforts towards rehabilitating herself, and the applicant provided no evidence of her work history or provided any letters of reference from members of the community.
他说这样政府没有自己改进自己，然后有实力的去改正错误。
Crimes involving prohibited sexual conduct, such as prostitution, are guideline crimes for massage therapists.
如果你要做这个 massage 这个职业，如果你有过这种经历发生。
Massage services are provided behind closed doors in private rooms. This setting provides an effective cover for an individual who has a predisposition to engage in the sale of illicit sexual services for money.
massage 是在 观点不做事，我们可以用这个机会来买收取费用。
The ALJ notes that it is troubling the applicant claims she was providing massage therapy services in the hotel room where she was arrested and ultimately convicted for prostitution.
他说他们知道你是说你在做马杀鸡的工作，但是还是被抓的罪是卖。
Allowing the applicant to hold a massage therapist license would allow her to continue selling sexual services under the veneer of providing a legitimate massage services.
那如果给你马杀鸡的执照，你可以用这个来机会继续做卖。
And based on this evidence, the ALJ concludes that the applicant is not currently fit to hold a massage therapist license based on her criminal history. I ask that you adopt the proposal for decision as written, and I'm available to answer your questions. Thank you.
跟着上面讲，所以他们不建议你去做马杀鸡的机会。
Okay. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Tom? Okay,
It's her turn.
yes.
那你们都对回答。我叫罗慧彤，her name is 罗慧彤。我不承认我有这些过错，因为之前是我没有律师，当时我是那个，现在我请有律师，所有的我有结案单，现在我是没有罪。She denied she has ever been done that thing, prostitution, and she said the misunderstanding was because she didn't have an attorney. Now she had an attorney represent, and she has a case has been resolved.
Any other comments?
I 就是没有。
Commissioners, questions?
We can't ask her about the case.
You can ask her about the case, yeah. Anything in the SOA hearing, yes. You have any questions about it?
Is that in front of SOA? Is she referring to the SOA case that's been resolved? What case has been resolved?
No, I think she's talking about you're talking about right.
This is for Wisconsin. Yeah.
Which is brought up in it was brought up in the SOA hearing, so it can be brought up. So, yes, if you have a question about that.
I was just wondering how it had been resolved.
But just give me a second. I think this wasn't submitted at the SOA hearing, so, right? Doug, we can't take something that wasn't there, right? Correct?
What's on the record is that there was conviction, a misdemeanor conviction in Wisconsin.
For prostitution.
Yes.
So that was what the case was.
So that's how it was resolved.
Did you communicate that to her? That what we're understanding is that she was convicted of prostitution in Wisconsin. Okay.
What she's trying to tell you, she said it all, it's been dropped.
Hang on. So was that admitted in the SOA hearing, the charges, or Jessica?
Can I see that? If I can have some liberty, Chair?
Yes, absolutely.
This is a letter from an attorney that was not entered into the record, so I don't believe that we can discuss
Okay.
what that says.
Okay, Stan, yeah. So communicate that to her, please.
说这个他没有记录，他说是 You shouldn't have to go away.
This is a court document from the state of Georgia where she had the pretrial diversion.
Okay. Was that in the record?
It was in the record, but this is not the Wisconsin court document.
Okay, that's the case that we're looking at. Okay.
The chairman, just for the record, Doug Jennings, general counsel. The record does reflect that for the Georgia charge, she was placed on a diversion program. So that is accurately reflected in the record.
That is accurate in the record. Okay. Any other questions?
But the Wisconsin case stands. As we've heard.
Yes.
So,
Convictions still?
That was turned into a misdemeanor or something, or
Still,
This
I
one was
can't
not.
hear, you're gonna have to sign it, you're gonna sign it, you just sign it or not, but I understand what you're saying. But the conviction was a misdemeanor, correct?
Yes, Chairman, it was a misdemeanor officer.
Right, correct, okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I'll take a motion.
based on the information, I move that we adopt the PFD as written.
Second? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Please let her know that she has other options and staff will get with her and with the outcome of the case, okay? Thank you so much. Thank you. Gordy, can we make sure somebody follows up with her so she understands what she has? Jessica, thank you.
what just happened? What is
PFD, they'll explain this to you with the staff. We're gonna go to, if you don't mind, Jessica, I'm gonna go to motions for hearing because they're here and I'll bring you back up, okay? Mr. Reyes? And then, Kimberly Pendergrass?
Mr. Chair, Robert Reyes, Assistant General Counsel. Speaking on the item, I am discussing the situation with the respondent right now. If we can table the item for later in the hearing so I can possibly come to a resolution with the party, I would appreciate it.
That's fine. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now the excuse.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. Okay, all right. I think we went through the. So we're gonna go with Natalie Blair. Natalie. Good to see you. Okay, Commissioners, we're on item one, G, which is Monica Perez. She's not here, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Natalie Olvera, and I'm prosecutor in the Enforcement Division. Buddy Morgan handled this case, but I will be presenting it today. The ALJ recommends a $4,000 administrative penalty for offering to perform and performing unlicensed electrical work. I ask the Commission to adopt the proposal for decision with the incorporated exceptions, which were small typos, and assess the $4,000 administrative penalty against Monica A. Perez. Ms. Perez, respondent, also doing business as PZ Electrical Renovations, was previously licensed as an electrical apprentice electrician in Texas, but respondent's license expired in August of 2022. Respondent has never been licensed as an electrical contractor. Respondent testified at the SOA hearing. She solicited electrical work through advertisements. Then in 2024 of March 2024, even though respondent was not licensed in the electrical field, respondent performed electrical work at a residence in San Antonio. Specifically, respondent was hired to move some electrical outlets and light switches. After reviewing the job site, respondent informed the homeowner the whole house needed to be rewired and respondent would be able to complete the job. The homeowner accepted respondent's finding and hired respondent to perform the electrical work. Respondent's electrical work included replacing and rewiring the existing electrical panels, along with rewiring the house. After respondent advised the work was completed and was paid over $2,000 for the work, the homeowner's electrical company came to the residence to conduct an inspection. The inspector from the electrical company informed the homeowner their house was a safety hazard, the work was not up to code, and the work was done improperly. The homeowner was also informed they would need to get all the electrical work redone and re-inspected in order for the electrical company to restore the power back to the resident's home. Respondent later admitted to the homeowner and confirmed at the SOA hearing that she was not licensed in the electrical field. Respondent stated customers hired her because of her lack of licensure, which is why her prices are cheap compared to licensed electricians. Respondent refused to provide a refund to the homeowner, but did offer to fix the electrical issues that they caused if respondent was paid more money. Respondent also stated her work should not be considered electrical work as defined by statute because the power was turned off at the residence while respondent worked. Additionally, respondent admitted she also completed prior electrical work while being unlicensed. Respondent again testified she believed the work she was performing only constituted as handyman work. The department investigator Catherine Stewart and department's deputy electrical inspector Joss Hall testified at the hearing respondent's work was indeed considered electrical work. Ultimately, a licensed electrician was hired by the homeowner and cost the homeowner additional $10,000 and 3 months to remedy all the electrical issues and restore power back to the house. Due to the very serious natures of respondent's violation, ask the commission again to adopt the proposal for decision with the incorporated exceptions and assess the $4,000 administrative penalty. I'm available to answer any questions.
Any questions, Commissioner?
Just note, they were aware that they were hiring a non-licensed electrician.
According to the testimony for the homeowner at the hearing, he was under the assumption that the respondent was licensed at the time when he hired her. Part of her advertisements did say that she was a licensed electrician.
Okay. Any other questions? Take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept it.
EOD with the corrections.
Yes.
Okay. Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, you got the next one, item number 2.
Yes, this will be Fred Adrian Enzaldua.
Ansel do, okay.
My name is Natalie Olvera, prosecutor in the Enforcement Division. The ALJ recommends a denial of Mr. Enzaldua's application for an apprentice electrician license. Ask the commission to adopt the proposal for decision as written and deny petitioner's license application due to petitioner's criminal history. In May of 2004, petitioner was convicted of the misdemeanor offense of burglary of a vehicle. He was sentenced to 120 days confinement in the Travis County Jail. In April 2010, petitioner was convicted of 2 counts of the misdemeanor offense of burglary of a vehicle and 1 count of the misdemeanor offense of theft of property up to $1,500 and was placed on community supervision for 2 years, which was revoked in 2012. He was then adjudicated guilty for all counts and sentenced to 180 days confinement in the Caldwell County Jail. In January 2011, petitioner was placed on deferred adjudication for the felony offense of burglary of a habitation and placed on community supervision for 4 years. In April 2016, petitioner was convicted of the misdemeanor offense of false report to a police officer, special investigator, or law enforcement employee and sentenced to 180 days in Hays County Jail. In November 2017, petitioner was convicted of the misdemeanor offense of interfere with emergency request for assistance and sentenced to 120 days confinement in Travis County Jail. In August 2018, petitioner was convicted of the misdemeanor offense of criminal trespass and sentenced to 10 days confinement in Travis County Jail. In March 2019, petitioner was convicted of the felony offense of terroristic threat against a peace officer and sentenced to 365 days confinement in the Caldwell County Jail. In October 2021, petitioner was convicted of 2 counts of misdemeanor offense of terroristic threat, caused fear of imminent serious bodily harm, and sentenced to 60 days confinement in the Travis County Jail for both counts. In April 2023, petitioner was convicted of misdemeanor offense of indecent assault and sentenced to 27 days confinement in the Hays County Jail. Petitioner's misdemeanor and felony offenses are all guideline crimes for electricians. Licensees have direct contact with the public and often in settings when no one else is present or in residential settings. Additionally, a person with a predisposition for crimes involving prohibited sexual conduct, theft, or violent conduct would have the opportunity to engage in further similar conduct in the electrician occupation. Petitioner stated his reasons behind the offenses were He was hanging out with the wrong crowd. He was young, experimented with drugs, had a bad choice of friends, had a drug problem, was walking around looking for stuff to steal, was with an immoral woman who lied about getting into a fight, verbally abused an arresting officer, went to jail for an argument, put his arm around a girl at the store and whispered in her ear, and then the cops were called on him. Petitioner's offenses occurred when he was about 18 to 36 years old and were not considered crimes of youthful indiscretion. Also, petitioner's crimes escalated from property offenses to offenses against the person throughout petitioner's almost 2 decades worth of criminal history. Petitioner testified he made bad choices in life and went to a 6-month rehab in early 2024, but was not able to produce any letters of recommendation or any certificates of rehabilitation. Due to petitioner's escalated and pattern of ongoing criminal history, I ask the commission to adopt the proposal for decision as written and deny applicant's license application for apprentice electrician. I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. O'Leary. All right, questions? Take a motion.
Motion to adopt the PFD as written.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, Jessica. She back? Oh, there you go. Thanks for the back and forth here. For item 3, Keith Wayne Mullins.
Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Jessica Hurtado, prosecutor in the Enforcement Division. The ALJ recommends that you revoke Keith Wayne Mullins' massage therapist license. I ask that you adopt the PFD as written. In March 2021, respondent, while massaging a client's lower body, used the massage gun directly on the client's vagina. The client stated she was uncomfortable but did not stop the massage at that time. Respondent then reached his hand inside of the client's underwear and touched her vagina. The client moved his hand away and told him to stop. She then reported the assault to police, and as a result, in October 2023, the respondent pled guilty to inappropriately and/or forcibly touching the victim during a massage. The court deferred adjudicating the respondent and placed him on community supervision for 24 months. Respondent was 40 years old when the offense occurred. Respondent testified at the hearing that the victim in this case was his client for 2 years, and he denied that he committed the offense and testified that the victim's story was completely ridiculous. Respondent also testified that he agreed to the plea bargain because he thought it was too much of a gamble to go to trial. The ALJ notes that massage therapists work in private settings and are prohibited from engaging in sexual contact with their clients. The ALJ concludes that allowing respondent to keep his license would afford him an opportunity to repeat the prohibited conduct. While the respondent tried to deny his guilt, the ALJ concludes that because the respondent pled guilty to the offense of assault causing bodily injury, the ALJ cannot reconsider whether the offense occurred in the SOA proceeding. Additionally, the ALJ notes that both crimes against the person and crimes involving prohibited sexual conduct are directly related to the duties and responsibilities of the massage therapist occupation. Turning to the factors in Chapter 53, the ALJ notes that this is the respondent's only criminal offense, and it occurred approximately 3.5 years ago. The ALJ notes the respondent was a grown adult and has been a licensed massage therapist for approximately 9 years when the offense occurred. And while the respondent did provide letters of recommendation discussing his skills and abilities, the ALJ notes the respondent provided no documentation to support any rehabilitative effort. The ALJ states that respondent's actions demonstrate a lack of capacity required to discharge the duties and responsibilities of a license holder. And after considering the factors in Chapter 53, the ALJ recommends you revoke respondent's massage therapist license. I ask that you adopt the PFD as written, and I'll have available to answer your questions.
Is he being sued by the defendant?
I don't know that. I don't have that information.
Any other questions? All right, take a motion.
I just want to jump in real quick, Chairman Doug Jennings, General Counsel. If in your motion, we should also add that we're correcting conclusion of law number 14 to correct a typographical error in the citation to the rule. Just want that on the record.
Okay. All right, Commissioners, any motion?
I make a motion.
with the correction for item 14. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And just to clarify, that was to adopt the
To adopt. Got to enunciate. Adopt with the correction to number item 14. All right, Mr. Evans.
Jessica Hurtado, Enforcement Division. The ALJ recommends that you deny Victor Blake Evans's application for a consent tow operator license. I ask that you adopt the PFD as written. The applicant has an extensive criminal history involving possession of controlled substances, assault, driving while intoxicated, and theft. In 2019, the applicant was placed on deferred adjudication for 3 felonies: possession of methamphetamine, possession of a controlled substance, THC, and assault. He was also convicted of driving while intoxicated, a misdemeanor. In 2022, the applicant was also convicted of 4 additional felony offenses: unlawful possession of a firearm by a felony, theft of property including jewelry worth up to $30,000, theft of property including money orders valued at up to $30,000, and theft of a motorcycle. The court also revoked his supervision on his 2019 offenses and sentenced him to prison for those offenses. He was last released from prison in November 2023. He was 25 years old when his first offense occurred in 2018. At the hearing, the applicant testified he had committed his crimes during a very dark time in his life when he was addicted to drugs. He also submitted a certificate of completion for a batterer's intervention prevention program. The ALJ found that each of the applicant's offenses are directly related to the duties and responsibilities of a tow truck operator, as crimes against the person, crimes involving theft, crimes involving the possession of illegal goods or substances, and intoxication offenses. As a tow truck operator, the applicant, if licensed, would have access to vehicles and their contents, and would have the opportunity to use their operator license as an effective cover for the distribution of illegal goods or substances. In weighing the Chapter 53 factors, the ALJ notes that the applicant has committed 8 offenses, including 6 felonies. While the ALJ recognized that the applicant completed a batterer's intervention course and discharged his parole, the ALJ notes this does not outweigh the applicant's prior noncompliance and revocation of his supervision. Additionally, there was no evidence the applicant has participated in any drug treatment or recovery support services. This is of a concern for the department since the applicant traces his offenses back to his drug addiction issues. Finally, the applicant submitted no letters of reference or witness testimony in support of his licensure. Therefore, the ALJ concludes the applicant is not currently fit to hold a license, recommends denial of the application. I ask that you adopt the PFD as written, available to answer your questions. Thank you.
Any questions, commissioners? All right, any technical corrections?
No, sir.
All right, I'll take a motion.
Make the motion to adopt the PFD.
All right, second. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed? Okay, thank you, Jessica. Appreciate it. Great job. All right, Commissioner, we're going to go to, Robert, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Item H, motion for rehearing. Ms. Pendergrass?
Yes. Hello.
Okay, I'm gonna read, do you understand the instructions that I read earlier?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Chair.
Chris?
Commissioners, Robert Reyes, Assistant General Counsel. This case regards the department in the case against respondent Kimberly Pendergrass. The respondent and department have entered an agreement to continue this setting. The respondent and department will work to resolve the case informally. If, however, an agreement is unable to be reached, the case will be reset as allowed by law for hearing on the merits. And this is the agreement of the parties.
Okay. Ms. Pendergrass, you understand
Yes.
the agreement? You agree with it?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Okay, rules, we'll go to item I. Beverly? Wait,
Oh, sorry, Chairman. This is Michael Bostic. He's the program attorney.
okay,
He's the Assistant General Counsel who handled this rulemaking for us.
all right,
Thank you.
good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Michael Bostic, Assistant General Counsel. Today, I'm presenting a proposed rule change regarding the residential wireman's license within the electrician program. Currently, 16 Texas Administrative Code, Section 73.110, sets the standard for electrical career and technical education programs that are offered by high schools and colleges as a pathway to licensure. These are known as CTE programs. As a part of the CTE program, students are required to complete 4 credits of a hands-on learning course called a practicum in construction technology. The proposed rule change would simply reduce the number of required credits in this course from the current 4 down to 3 credits. This change is necessary to correct a conflict between the TEA rules and TLR rules that arose after HB 1391 from the 88th legislature was initially implemented. Specifically, Texas public high schools are only authorized to offer the required practicum courses in 3 credit blocks. Therefore, requiring schools to provide 4 credits of practicum courses imposes unnecessary burdens and costs on schools and adversely affects many student schedules. The proposed rule was published in the Texas Register on April 11th, 2025. The comment period closed on May 12th, 2025. During the comment period, we received 2 public comments. One was in favor of the rule change and the other was not relevant to this change. No changes were made to the proposed rules based on these comments. This proposed rule is being presented for your review and vote as it was published in the Texas Register. I recommend that you adopt the proposed rule amendment an effective date of August 15th, 2025. I'm available for any questions you have.
Thank you. Any questions?
Now, does this also service the junior colleges or the vocational schools, or is this just public schools?
It would change for both, for the practicum requirements.
Any other questions? Good job.
Thank you.
Any motion?
Make a motion to accept the rule of change effective August 15th.
August 15th, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Is there a second? Is there a second?
A second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I just wanted to ask, so now are the schools prepared for August 1st?
I don't know if the schools are prepared for August 1st with this change, although I would imagine that they should be able to be prepared since they're already authorized to
So are we
offer the 3 hours.
sending out, I mean, because it wasn't authorized yet, and so are we sending out information to, or TEA does it, or?
Through the TEA rules, the schools were already authorized to offer the practicum courses in 3 credit-hour blocks. So they're already prepared to do that. We're just changing our rules to bring it into line with the existing.
Got it.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Thank you. Item J.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Athena Ponce, Assistant General Counsel. Items J and K consist of a rule package related to the Barbering and Cosmetology program. The proposed rules concern Chapter 82 Barbers and Chapter 83 Barbers and Cosmetologists and will be presented together. As you are aware, legislation from the 87th session required consolidation of Chapters 82 and 83. The proposed rules also include suggested changes resulting from the 4-year review of the program. The Commission adopted that rule review back on October 10th, 2023. As to Chapter 82, the proposed rules repeal obsolete rules that are no longer necessary after the consolidation of the rules for barbering and cosmetology into 16 Texas Administrative Code Chapter 83, which took effect September 1st, 2023. Provisions in Chapter 82 had been left in place to provide details for barbering regarding certain requirements that were in effect prior to September 1st, 2023. The provisions being repealed are no longer necessary because of the Chapter 82 and Chapter 83 consolidation prompted by HB 1560. As to Chapter 83, the proposed rules repeal obsolete transition provisions, reorganize rule sections, clarify definitions and services regulated by the department, update terminology and citations, clarify licensing provisions for establishments and schools, update school facility and signage requirements, and clarify curriculum requirements. The proposed rules were published in the Texas Register on March 28, 2025, and the public comment period expired on May 5th, 2025. 3 comments were received. However, the comments did not express opinions for or against the adoption of the proposed rules. The Barbering and Cosmetology Advisory Board last met on June 16, 2025. The board recommended adoption of the proposed Chapter 82 Barbers Rules without changes. The board also recommended adoption of the Chapter 83 Barbers and Cosmetologists proposed rules, but they voted to change the proposed rules about natural hair braiding by removing new language that would have allowed natural hair braiders to provide shampooing, drying, and blow drying services in preparation for braiding. In addition to that vote, several advisory board members raised questions and discussed how best to clarify natural hair braiding in rules and set an agenda item for their next meeting. As a result of the board members' discussion, the department has removed from the proposed section 8315 all language concerning natural hair braiding, and the other proposed rules in that section were left in place for adoption by the commission. This was so the advisory board may address the braiding topic with a clean slate during their future meetings. I recommend that the commission vote to adopt the proposed rules for Chapter 82 and Chapter 83 with an effective date of August 15, 2025. I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions, Commissioner? Now, you want these moved together? Or one motion, or you have 2 motions, please?
I believe it would be 2 motions that Mr. Doug Jennings,
You
I
want-
think.
you
would
want
be
2
able-
motions on these?
Are we going to have the same effective date for both sets?
That is correct.
I think we can make a consolidated motion to adopt, the rules that are designated in these 2 agenda items, J and K,
Okay,
with an effective date of, I'll defer to Ms. Ponce.
it's August what?
15th.
15th, August
Correct.
15th. Okay, all right. Any other questions? I'll take a motion.
Move that we adopt the rules as written for 82 and 83
That is correct.
with the date of August 15th.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Pello. Good morning.
Good morning. Wendy Pella, Senior Assistant General Counsel. Agenda item L is a discussion and action on a 4-year rule review, and we have 5 chapters that are under review today. Chapter 59, 60, 70, 72, and 73. Just as a reminder, the rule review process, this is something the department does every 4 years, required along with all state agencies to review our rules every 4 years. We do these in groups, just based on the sheer number of rules that we have. We do these in groups to kind of do a consolidated review. But as part of that review, we're looking to see if the rules that have been adopted, trying to determine whether they continue to be necessary, the reasons why we initially adopted them continue to exist. Are they obsolete? Do they reflect kind of our current procedures and legal policy decisions? As part of that process, not only does the department review it, but we also publish what's called a notice of intent to review to the public. And we're letting the public know that we're starting this review process, but it also gives them the opportunity to offer comments on the current rules. There's not any proposed changes, published at that time, but they let us know about the current rules, what their thoughts are. Does there need any changes? Are they obsolete? They kind of review that as well. The department, if we do receive comments, public comments that are suggesting changes, or in our own review, we review the rules and recognize there may be some changes that need to be made. We will make those changes, propose those changes in a future separate rulemaking, going through the regular rulemaking process. We don't suggest adopting any rule changes at this point during the rulemaking process because the public hasn't seen any specific rule changes and neither have any of the advice reports. So this is kind of a time to gather those comments and really look at the rules and then adopt the rule chapters and complete that rule review, and then start any rules that would result from that rule review. So for the 5 chapters you have before you today, we published a consolidated notice of intent to review in the Texas Register on January 31st, 2025, and the public comment period closed on March 3rd, 2025. We received comments from 43 interested parties across those rule chapters. You have copies of those comments. The department reviewed those comments, and so any comments, public comments regarding readoption or that opposed readoption, we took that as under consideration as part of this review. Any public comments that were suggesting amendments to the rules, we'll take that under consideration for possible future rulemaking. And then any comments that were suggesting statutory changes or rule changes that would first require statutory changes, or comments that were unrelated to the rule review, there won't be any further rulemaking action on those comments. So in addition to, like I said, we reviewed the public comments, but we also reviewed those rules, and we have determined that for all 5 rule chapters, the reason for adopting those rules continue to exist, and these rule chapters should be readopted. We found that the rules are essential in implementing the statutes in terms of the operations and functions of the commission and the department, and then also for the operations and functions of the specific programs. And again, if we determine to make changes in the future to these rule chapters, we will go through the regular rulemaking process, which again will publish notice in the Texas Register with specific comments and give the public an opportunity to comment before those would come back to the commission. So for today, the department is recommending that the commission readopt the rules under 16 Texas Administrative Code chapters 59, 60, 70, 72, and 73 in their entirety in their current form as a result of your rule review. And we have a recommended effective date of August 1st, 2025.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, I'll take a motion.
Make a motion to accept it for 59, 60, 70, 72, and 73 effective August 1st, 2025.
There's a second.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
John Meadow. Item M, penalty matrix. Morning.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Again, my name is John Medlock. I am the Chief Prosecutor for the Enforcement Division. Here to present the updates of the speech language pathologist and audiologist penalty matrix. These updates reflect the time and efforts of the advisory board members from the speech language pathologist and audiologist board members. A few highlights: this penalty matrix was last updated and approved by this commission on August 18th of 2017, shortly after the program was transferred to us from the Department of State Health Services. Due to changes in laws and rules, minor cleanup was necessary for rule and law citations. The only major addition was to a Class C set of violations for some continuing education audit functions to be performed by the department. The advisory board approved these updates on April 29th of this year. Ultimately, the Enforcement Division uses these penalty matrix for consistency in application of penalties and sanctions when it comes to law and rule violations. It also gives the licensees and public the general idea of what types of penalties they might be facing when sanctions or complaints are filed against them. While again binding on our prosecutors, it is not binding on this commission as the cases come before them. I would ask that you adopt the updates to the speech language pathologist and audiologist penalty matrix so that we can publish in the Texas Register and begin to use.
Any questions? All right, I'll take a motion.
Make a motion to adopt the penalty matrix as presented.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we're gonna skip item 9, Commissioners, and we're gonna go to, I guess, Doug, you wanna go from there?
Yes, sir. So Doug Jennings, General Counsel, just for the record, we skipped item N for the time being.
I'm sorry, did I say 9? I said 9, didn't I? Yeah. N for 9, that's what I meant, N for 9. I'm sorry, it's been a morning, so I apologize.
So we'll be moving on to item O, and I'll be brief. As you'll recall, Commissioners, at our last meeting, we had an item that on the agenda that looked very similar to this. We heard an update from the Texas Board of Veterinary Medical Examiners. We talked about how that attachment is proceeding, and the answer is it's proceeding very well. One of the items that was on the agenda for the last meeting, we actually, the commission didn't get around to. And that was further delegating contested case authority back to TBVME to allow their board to make binding decisions in cases that go before the State Office of Administrative Hearings. So just as a refresher for you and for the public, you have delegated authority, your authority under statute, you have delegated it back to TBVME so they can, their board may make decisions about dismissal of cases and approval of agreed orders. And so this would be another piece of that delegation, should you choose to so delegate. Also, a little background is TDLR staff will attend all of the meetings of of TBVME. We also, either I or my or a designee will provide them counsel regarding their contested cases, their SOA cases, and work with TBVME staff and work with the board themselves to explain and provide guidance on those SOA cases. Therefore, we are providing that guidance during the process at an earlier point. The way it's been working so far is that TBVME, when they encounter a SOA case and want to make a decision, they have been making a recommendation to you, commissioners, to make the final and binding decision. And this delegation would allow them, their board, to make that final and binding decision. And of course, this delegation would be prospective. And if there is a need that you identify to revoke that delegation, you can certainly do that in the future.
Commissioners, I've met with Dr. Gold a couple of times, actually a couple on the ranch too. He's done a great job of really recalibrating. I want to recommend, not recommend, but commend them for what they're doing in their movement. So this is for you to be able to dive as deep as you want in these cases. But again, the expertise resides within the doctors, within the veterinary medicine. So, it is a great example of how TDLR is taking something and has had its challenges and reassess it, recalibrate something better. So.
Thank you. And should you want to take this step, the motion would simply be to delegate authority to the Texas Board of Veterinary Medical Examiners to make final decisions in contested cases heard by the State Office of Administrative Hearings. A so moved will also suffice.
So you will need a motion for this.
Yes, sir.
So moved.
Okay, there's a second. Okay. All right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Doug. All right. Talbot. Item P, not plural, but P, P. And you're going to cover P, okay. Yeah, all right.
That's right. We'll talk a little bit about the transition of the lottery and bingo programs. And for the record, Courtney Arbor, Executive Director. Commissioners, since the passage of Senate Bill 3070, significant steps have been taken toward implementation. In addition to the transfer of operations, people, data, rules, policies, systems, etc., TDLR has a few other critical responsibilities, and I want to name a few of those. We are to conduct an independent review of each existing contract and make a determination about extending or renewing that contract versus conducting a re-procurement. Additionally, we are to extend the lottery operations contract once and begin immediately to re-procure that contract. TDLR will also make any legislative recommendations we believe to be necessary to improve charitable bingo or lottery operations. And we are to submit those to the Sunset Advisory Commission and some legislative committees. To meet the intent of the legislature for the transition of these programs, a transition team has been hired. Glenn Neal, sitting to my right, is the transition director, and Nicole Oria is our special counsel. She's in the back. You could wave your hand, Nicole. She will facilitate the work related to contracts and procurements. The process is underway to hire a project manager who will be critical to the work of facilitating meetings, writing some of the required reports, managing some of our deliverables tracking. These are critical positions for ensuring the intent of the legislature is met and that we have adequate resources directed to the transition for a coordinated and successful effort. Next on the agenda, we have an update, our first update of many from Glenn Neal, the transition director, regarding the transition of these programs to TDLR. But before we hear from Glenn, I just want to take a moment and say, from my perspective, the transition efforts are on track. We have the right people focused on the right things, particularly around the September 1 deadlines and what it takes to onboard employees and systems, and ensuring that those positions become TDLR positions and that paychecks are cut appropriately on day one and that our systems are functioning. I continue to have regular communications with the deputy executive director, interim or acting deputy at Lottery about the priority contracts, their vacancies, what to fill, what to hold, and any potential items requiring commission vote by the Lottery Commission. And to date, there have been nothing requiring the commission vote. I will also be regularly briefing leadership offices in the legislature on the status of the transition. I have received very broad support for the team and our agency as a whole so far in those meetings. And Glenn will walk you through the main accomplishments and sort of the framework so far, and then we'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members. For the record, Glenn Neal, Transition Director. I thought I'd start with a little sense of scale as far as the transition goes. If TDLR were to stand alone as an agency for the 26-27 biennium, be a $140 million agency with 615 FTEs. With the transfer of TLC, the Lottery Commission, to TDLR, will be an $800 million agency with 948 FTEs. So it's a 50% increase in FTEs and about a 6x increase in the budget for the biennium with this transition. So sense of scale here is pretty huge. As Courtney mentioned, we're laser focused on September 1st to make sure that we complete the main things, the critical tasks necessary to move people from TLC to TDLR virtually, not physically in most cases, to get them paid on time and to ensure that the lottery and bingo services continue uninterrupted during the transition. We want that to be a seamless process. While there's a formal transition plan required by Senate Bill 3070 due in December 1, we've already begun standing up transition work groups to get the work underway. Those are co-led by people from TDLR and TLC, and they're meeting currently on a weekly cadence through 9/1 to make sure that we keep eyes on this on a regular basis. We've also invited the Legislative Budget Board and the Governor's Office staff to attend those formal meetings of these work groups, and they have been attending those meetings. I thought I'd go through the four main work groups we have, and give you a sense of what's actually happening on the ground, so it's a little less kind of conceptual and more real. Human resources is probably obviously the biggest and most important one as we move forward, and again, ensuring that the staff transfer over, they're onboarded and get paid on 9/1 is the highest priority. We've had several meetings with the Controller's Office. They've been very proactive in reaching out to us to make sure we have what's needed to move TLC over to the CAPS HR system. And right now we're in the process of mapping out the configuration of both agencies into one. So we're going to have a consolidated configuration for CAPS HR, and we hope by 9/1. Then I think information technology is the next big group that's been stood up. The highest priority there is ensuring that we have secure and trusted network connections between TDLR and TLC. That's basically the foundation to allow both agencies to continue to function as we reach 9/1. Share documents, access systems, all the things that have to happen in day-to-day work. The IT team is also working with Microsoft to develop an interim solution to onboard the TLC staff with no change in operations. Full integration of our systems is going to extend well beyond 9/1. It's going to take several months of planning to get to that point. But rest assured that will not interfere in any way with the cutover date of 9/1 in terms of operations. Other considerations in the short term are systems access, security, and background checks for those who need visibility into the lottery data or systems prior to 9/1. all the transition team members are going to have that access. We're working on that presently. The next group I'll touch on is finance. And as we've said a few times, the priority there is making sure that payroll runs and that budgets are loaded. I was informed this morning or late last night that we have received the coding elements from the LBB through the controller's office for the Senate Bill 1 for 2026, and that information is required for us to build the budgets for both agencies for 2026. We thought we might be able to move the Lottery Commission to caps by 9/1. They're on their own proprietary system called MIPS right now, the accounting system. That's not going to happen. In our conversations with the controller's office, they made it clear that the timeline just doesn't allow for that. So we are going to build out some workarounds that will allow us visibility into the TLC accounting system, and that will ultimately tie into USAS and caps on our side. So that's the main thing that we're focused on there. And then the last group that I'll mention is procurements and contracts. That team kicks off next Tuesday, I think the 15th. And but the review of the TLC contracts that Senate Bill 3070 contemplates is already underway. Nicole Oria is leading that review of current contracts, and we're going through one by one to see which ones we want to renew, extend, or reprocure. Probably the most important deliverable of that team is to extend the current contract for lottery operations, which is currently held by IGT. We're going to extend that by 9/1/26 for a 2-year period. And during that 2-year period, we will reprocure that contract and for the 2029 fiscal start. So timeline on that is fairly lengthy, but that is going to be a very big procurement. So we need that runway.
2-year period, you went 9/1/26.
So 9/1/26 will renew through
Additional 2 years
2028.
after that. Okay.
Yes, sir. Right. And then during that biennium, 27-28 biennium, we'll procure for 29.
Okay.
Okay. I thought I'd touch on media inquiries. Since June 1st, we've had 8 inquiries about the transfer of lottery to TDLR. Most were just seeking general information about the transfer. Our response has been largely that it's too early for us to have a response. We're working on it, but as we get closer to 9/1, we'll have a lot more information to share about the details of the transition. But of course, we want our staff and the lottery staff to hear it first before the media picks it up. So we're being careful to ensure that happens. We're also actively coordinating with the Lottery Commission's media office to ensure that we have consistent messaging coming out of both agencies on this. Final thing for my report is that once we have the project manager on board, I expect to have more detailed information available about the status of individual deliverables. So each work group has a set of deliverables that they're working on, both for 9/1 and then ultimately after that. We're going to start putting that in a format that allows a more quantitative analysis of where we're at relative to where we need to be. And I'll be bringing that information forward to you in future commission meetings. So with that, I'll pause and see if you have any questions.
I do. It's probably silly, but how do we know we're not overlapping some of the people who made these mistakes? How are we making sure that they're not employed there anymore and we may carry them over to our side? How do we not repeat what they did?
It will be very important as the leadership team is identified for this entire agency that we're inquisitive about process. We're inquisitive about requests from our licensees that could land us in the same situation that the lottery found them in
That's
previously.
a lot of people, right?
But I am working now on an organizational structure that would allow for strong leadership across the agency to watch for those kind of things to be repeated. The legislature was very direct in the law in some of the flawed practices, and in the law addressed certain things that won't be repeated again, or we would be looking to enforce it should a licensing make those same mistakes. And so bulk ticket purchases or selling more than 100 tickets to an individual is now banned. purchases now have to be made in person. So those type of things will
How
help.
else were they made?
I'm sorry,
How else would they purchase a ticket?
they were making them online, yes. But strong leadership will be key across the agency, both on the TDLR side and lottery.
And is a record kept if I buy 50 here and 50 there? Do they make that connection where I bought 100 tickets?
That's one of the things we'll be needing to work out in rule and policy on the tracking of ticket sales to individuals.
So a couple, any other comments? A couple of things for me is, the culture counts, right? This is two cultures that are independent of each other. So I think it's important to factor those soft tissue issues in with this merger. And I think we want to do that. Second, in that regards, we're going to have Commissioner Weston chair a subcommittee just overseeing this, making sure that we're updating any transition issues that we have and elevating them, because we only meet every other month, so I don't want to have a delay. There needs to be something that we can address. I know there's a lot on this, to say the least. And just the reputation of PDLR is on the forefront of taking on some of the hottest issues that are in front of the state of Texas. So I appreciate the efforts you're doing. Whatever resources you need, whatever challenges that come, make sure we are aware of it, because we want to make sure that this cultural alignment and mission alignment is in sync for the state, the great people of Texas, to make sure they're in sync. But there will be bumps. So as they do happen, just keep us posted if you don't mind. I also want to make sure that you guys know that when we finish this, right, we want to be missional driven. And I've been very direct with the governor's staff about what that mission looks like. And so we've constituted a process in our assessments of the AD of transitional items, because they don't seem to stop. It's not going to stop in the last 10 years I've been here. And so I'm sure there'll be another lottery, veterinary, motor fuel thing that might pop up on the right. So whatever you learn and however you learn, the learning lab that you're going through, make sure you document those lessons as much as possible so that we can start to adopt that and codify that in our own organization. Okay.
Glenn, so do you do a report, give it to Courtney, Courtney gives it to us, or, I mean, how often are we gonna be getting updates?
So this big subcommittee that will be accountable for this in our
But
meeting.
who will give it to?
He'll interact with the executive
And
director.
how often do we want it?
Each meeting will have an update. But if there's any interim issues, we'll bring them up.
Okay.
Okay. Any other things, comments? Good luck. We should pray for you.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Commissioner, I'm gonna take a 5-minute recess. I want to update something. So it is 10:57, say 9, 10, 11:05, we'll reconvene, okay? Meeting you guys.
Myers, Deputy Executive Director. And I get to go over Senate Bill 1 and what has turned into our operating budget for fiscal year 26 and 27. In your materials that came out, you'll have something that looks like this, a chart. It has the buildup of our budget. As you know, this is not the first time you've seen an iteration of this. You saw this about a year ago with the finance work group. Thank you for your support, and the rest of the commissioners. Thank you for your support as we got to the LAR. Now you get to see how it's evolved and what has come out of it. I also want to just take a moment and thank some other folks that were a very big part of this success. Tony Kubion, our budget analyst, Karen Sands, our CFO, our budget team, the directors, Courtney, our leadership team, our GR team, and again, the finance work group and commissioners. Thank y'all for helping us to get this across the finish line. The overall piece of this, we went into session with 10 requests, either for funds or for authority or both. 80% of those were granted. So that's really, really exciting as an agency. Of the $27.5 million that we requested in exceptional items, we received 25.5. So 93% of what we asked for was adopted. I would say that's an A+. As you know, there was a lot of other items added on to us. And so just to kind of give you an idea of the exceptional items that we did request and what came to us. Our first exceptional item was for recruitment and retaining our workforce. We got that fully funded. We received funds for our cybersecurity expansion, fully funded. The Financial Crimes Intelligence Center had a lot of expansion, and they were fully funded. The emergency stop orders that we asked for in the LAR, those were actually funded in the introduced bill. So that was already a part of our budget when we started into legislative session. That was an exciting win for the agency, and it also showed that there is a push for that in the legislature and how important our anti-human trafficking efforts are. And so we got that from the start. We didn't have to testify for that, which was nice. And then we also received funding for our help desk system replacement. We also received our full request for the expansion of our fleet. We also received the UB authority for the LSRP funds. So the money that we received for our LSRP project in the biennium we are in right now, we have to get the authority to move those funds into the next biennium. And we are very grateful that the legislature gave us that. That means our LSRP project can continue and the funds will go right along with it as we continue our efforts in that implementation. The combative sports tax appropriation, this was 1/6 of the tax that we get in, and the legislature gave us that authority. That's going to help us to fund some of our additional combative sports employees. We're excited about that. And then when Courtney was testifying about our items, we were asked if we had enough for the anti-human trafficking efforts that we've been working on by Senator Chair Huffman. And we came back and the leadership team got together and we decided what we would need to be able to increase our capacity in that area. And we ended up with additional 3 FTEs and the funds to go along with that. And then the last addition, as you already are well aware of, is the lottery and charitable bingo that came to us. So a lot happened, obviously, in the legislature this year, and we were well supported, and that's exciting. So when we look at this in toto, we are now looking at a biennial budget of $809,560,228 as our starting budget for the next biennium, along with 938.2 FTEs. So
it's a big raise.
We've got quite a bit. So this is what is going to turn into our operating budget. I'm happy to answer any questions, and if there's no questions, we will need a motion to approve the operating budget for the next 2 fiscal years.
Commissioners, questions?
No, that's a big increase, which you know what, we all know what comes with that. More eyes are gonna be looking.
Absolutely.
Okay, so, you
Which is
know,
welcome.
it's like, and we'll welcome that because we're the fix-it, we're the fix-it group, on the deal. So thank y'all, you know, for everything that y'all did this last session and being able to get the funding, you know, so that we can make this stuff happen.
Any other questions? Any, the shortcomings, I know we've got 92, but what were the shortcomings that were significant that we didn't get?
So the two items that were not funded were our PC replacement. So we have a normal schedule of replacing our computers. And we're at that point because of COVID, when we bought so many that the big group of them need to be refreshed. We weren't given those funds, but we do have some flexibility to work through that and still take care of the needs of the agency with that. The other thing that was not funded was the artificial intelligence exceptional item that we've had listed. But we also are still looking at ways to incorporate those things in the agency, regardless of the funding.
That's critical. Those are game changing. Well, AI specifically. As any anomalies occur, make sure you keep us as commission. All the commissioners have said this, right? Correct.
Yes, you should be seeing this. The monthly reports go out to the commissioners. And then if there's anything significant, of course, we'll bring it to the commission.
Okay. And one of the things we're working on is enforcement. That budget, where's that budget at on the side?
What do you mean? Are you talking about the enforcement work group?
Right.
So the enforcement work group is going to happen, but the funds, the way that that's going to work is just going to be incorporated within our existing resources.
Okay. We're not going to have a special.
So
Okay. All right. All right. Any other questions? All right. I'll take a motion.
Motion that we accept the
The budget. Approve
the budget for the next 2 years.
yes.
26, 26, 27.
26, 27.
Okay. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Great job, Brandy. I know this was a big pill to swallow, but about this budget.
Thank you.
Right? Item R.
So the next item is our appointments and reappointments and presiding officer appointments for our advisory boards. To start off, we have the Air Conditioning and Refrigeration Contracts Advisory Board. We're appointing Mr. Joel Dooley. For the Code Enforcement Officers Advisory Committee, we have William Gerber and Jonathan Campos. For the Driver Training and Traffic Safety Advisory Committee, we have Adam Legler. For Dyslexia Therapists and Practitioners Advisory, we have Diana Bueno. Elevator Safety Advisory Board, Mr. Patrick Shaw. The Hearing Instrument Fitters and Dispensers Advisory Board, Matthew Toohey. Motorcycle Safety Advisory Board, we have Dr. David Jones. We have Brandy Fuller and Colby Music. For the Used Automotive Parts Recycling Advisory Board, Lloyd Welty, and Travis Snyder. For reappointments, on the Behavior Analyst Advisory Board, Amy Wood. Electrical Safety and Licensing Advisory Board, Christopher Bass. Elevator Advisory Board, Brian Mitchell. Mold Assessment and Remediation Advisory Board, Blake Howard and Sherry Gaither. And for presiding officer appointments on the Behavior Analyst Advisory Board, Mariel Fernandez. Elevator Safety Advisory Board, Brian Morris. And the Midwives Advisory Board, Destiny Hooper. Yes, ma'am.
So I was stuck in the elevator. How does that get fixed? Like elevators, new hotel room. We were in San Antonio and then, there was no elevator check, nothing was done and I was in the elevator. That was kind of scary.
I can
Why
help
don't
with
we-
that. Courtney,
Let's get this award done first and then you can address that with Courtney directly. How about we just can you hold that question just for a second?
I might
Okay.
forget, yes.
Well, I'll make sure.
I'll remind you.
Okay. I want you to stand by on that one. Okay. Any questions about the advisory boards? All right, I'll take a motion.
Make a motion to accept the appointments as read.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you.
Okay, now, executive reports. Courtney, you're more than welcome to take Commissioner Castellanos' question as well.
Oh, and anytime any of you are out and you have a question about any of our licensees, whether it be an elevator or anyone else, either you can document the complaint online in our complaint taking page, or you can send it to any one of us and we'll do that. And then, of course, it goes through the process where our investigators, our inspectors take a look, and it goes through an enforcement process. So in that case, when you let us know, we keep that as a complaint, and then it began moving through the process.
But we went again and it was still closed, so I would think that would be a quickie. For how do they know to go and check? Do they have every 2 years, or is it a brand new? I mean, because I see, where it's been checked, but this didn't have anything, so.
In that case, we did follow up and took action when you made us aware. Do you want to talk more generally about the inspections for elevators, or would you like to discuss that here, or can we discuss after the meeting?
It just, it's kind of creepy. So, then that's when I looked for the plate and we had no plate. So I was just curious, but we don't have to make it a big thing now. I just to make sure that.
The question you're asking is a really good segue, if you don't mind, to my update. We have just kicked off an enforcement work group. The team does a great job dealing with a very high volume. As you can imagine, we have 962,000 licenses or renewals happening at any given time. So as the agency has grown, the number of people out there, people, places, and things that we license has just continued to go up. We're so close to 1 million. In fact, we may have tipped it since session. I'm not sure. The reason we're kicking off this enforcement work group is to ensure that our processes from the point of complaint to full enforcement and holding licensees accountable if they're not following the requirements are done quickly in a streamlined way, where we're addressing highest risk issues as quickly as possible. That elevator is an example of that. The team does a great job with the volume we have, but as a state agency, we always want to keep looking at ways to streamline processes to make sure that when we find a complaint, we address it as quickly as possible.
So should the hotel be responsible for letting them know they're putting up hotels, or we are the ones that need to know? Who makes the initial contact?
Overall, Commissioner, the responsibility for the elevators, escalators in buildings is on the building owner. It's incumbent on someone building a building or renovating a building to
That's what
follow
I
the
would
steps
think,
with us. Yes,
and
ma'am.
that they didn't follow
Yes,
through.
ma'am, Courtney.
No, thank you. Yes. And on that same note, serendipitously, just as we were kicking off the enforcement work group with 3 of our commissioners as member and a number of our staff looking at process improvement, the state auditor's office let us know that it was time for them to conduct a follow-up of our enforcement processes. So we have 2 things working simultaneously to make sure that we're doing everything we can in the enforcement process for our licensees and all of the Texans who benefit. So we've got a heavy lift coming our way, but the goal is to make things as streamlined, as fast and effective as we can for safety for the public. And so thank you for that question. The enforcement piece is something top of mind for all of us. I wanted to introduce our 2025 summer interns, and I'll embarrass you a little and ask you to stand up as I call your name. We've worked for the 2nd year with the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board to bring in interns. These are undergraduate students in the state of Texas who are getting real life, real work experience that they can put on their resume, and we benefit from getting to know them and having them give us input on what they see in our operations also. So they're learning, and we're also learning from them. We're very excited to have 7 interns this year, and I'll ask you to stand. Van P. Wen. Thank you, Van P. And we're going to take a photo at the end if you don't mind, commissioners. So just stay here. Journey Verbeck. Ariel Guthrie. Landon Penales. Emily Montenegro. Valerie Liu, and Alexis Winston.
Now, do y'all have specific areas that you're interested in?
Yes, each is assigned to a different department in the agency. We have VAMP in compliance and architectural barriers, specifically Journey, who is the second here in compliance, health and wellness. Ariel Guthrie in governmental relations, Landon Pinellas in field inspections, specifically combative sports, the envy of everyone who knows him probably. Emily is in financial services, Valerie is in education and examination, and Alexis is in our human resources department. And before we do the picture, I also wanted to thank Louisa Robertson and Kim Riley. Louisa is our training manager, and Kim is one of our trainers, and they've coordinated the onboarding and the scheduling of a lot of the activities for these interns to ensure that they have a good experience with us and that we have great takeaways from them as well.
Is this the first year that we do this?
This is the second year we've partnered with the Higher Education Coordinating Board for the internship program.
That's great. That's great.
Do you want to do the picture now? Or you want to wait till after the meeting?
We can do it quickly now while everybody's standing, if that's okay with you. And we'll just come back behind the dais.
Yeah.
Alex.
And you guys. On the outside. All right.
Y'all got it?
Okay. Let's try to make 2 rows.
You're fine. You're on stop.
All right, y'all scooch in just a little bit more. All right. 1, 2, 3. TDLR. Yay. Perfect. Thank you.
I never been so long. Outstanding job.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you so much.
Y'all are in college?
Yes. Okay.
A couple of other updates. You're about to hear from Jeff Kopus and Alex Hammond about how we fared this legislative session. You heard a lot already about lottery and bingo, but a number of other efforts from our strategic plan and even another new program was approved by the legislature. So Jeff and Alex, if you want to make your way up, while they're coming up, I just wanted you to know that we're going to be busy on the bill implementation. And there's also been a couple of recent retirements that I wanted to highlight before I turn it over to them, which will be our last executive update for today. Jim Erickson in combative sport. As you know, a lot of people retire this time of year. As we get closer to the fiscal year, many people opt to retire. Jim Erickson in combative sports. Josh Kuntz, our CISO, retired. Mike Fickle. Leonard Rivas and Yvonne Campos. It will be retiring at the end of this month, and I know you all have worked with Yvonne for many years. Her last day in the office will be the 17th, almost the 16th. So we're losing some very valuable and tenured employees, and so I just wanted to make sure we mentioned. Some of them have already left. They left at the end of June, but I wanted to highlight that today before I turn it over to Jeff
Motion
and
to
Alex.
deny Yvonne's.
Yeah. I second that.
Yeah, can we get on the name?
All right. All right, gentlemen.
Good morning still. We're the only thing standing between you and lunch right now, so we're short. Jeff Kopus, Government Relations.
Alex Hammond, Government Relations.
And we just want to give you a quick overview. You all should have a legislative report in your materials. Talk about some of the other things that passed this session besides SB 3070, which has been well covered. And but I will say, just on SB 3070, in context, that bill was filed less than 60 days ago.
Yeah.
Filed. And here we are today getting an update on progress. Remarkable work by our team and our executive leadership, especially on that one. So, but there were other things that happened in this session besides lottery.
Quite a surprise.
Yeah, quite a surprise. It was a crazy session as always. A record number of bills filed, 8,719, highest number ever filed. About 14% of that passed, which is pretty normal. It's usually the 14 to 15% range. TDLR was tracking 555 of those bills throughout the session. And of those, 96 of those bills passed.
and 4 were vetoed. Including, I'll note, the cosmetology compact bill, second time in a row that's been vetoed. So we'll see if third time's a charm on that one, but that is just a quick overview of the sort of volume of work that we are looking at. Pretty consistent with past sessions, except just a lot more, a lot more volume, but similar percentages. And I do want to take a moment to point out Tony Kuvion, 422 cost estimates completed this session at the request of.
A little more white here, Tony.
Yeah, yeah. And I will mention also to our internal bill analysis teams, including our general counsel staff, completed nearly 100 bill analysis. And they could have done a lot more, actually. 100 was about all we had time for, but we could have used it more. So that's about it for just a sort of general overview. Alice is going to go over the strategic initiatives real quick and our success rate on those.
Yes, briefly, update on our strategic initiatives for TDLR. As you know, staff in conjunction with the exec and commissioners put forth our strategic initiatives for the legislative session. We have 11 of them filed, 7 of those passed both chambers, and 1 of those were vetoed. So out of the 7 that were passed, I wanted to highlight 3 of those are UB authority, which Brandy mentioned, giving us the authority to spend the money that was appropriated to us by the last legislature to spend and update our outdated legacy systems. We got that approved by the Senate Finance Committee and House Appropriations Committee. Another one is SB 2155, which is the TDLR vet board cleanup bill. This was required by us to do by the attachment for the vet board. Great work by Doug Jennings, our general counsel, and their office put together the legislative recommendations for the vet board. We got that bill filed by Senator Perry and passed by the legislature. Last one I wanted to highlight was the human trafficking, the anti-human trafficking and massage, SB 2167. We got that bill filed by Senator Paxton. This helped close the loophole for suspected human traffickers that were subject to an executive order by Courtney, who would then try to apply for a new license under a different address and location. So this loophole is very important for us to be able to close and stop people who we suspected through an executive order to stop from applying for another or a new license from our licensing division. So we're thankful for Senator Paxton for filing that bill and get that bill passed for us. So that's the update for the strategic initiatives. Jeff is going to go over a few more items.
So some of the other new responsibilities, again, setting aside SB 3070, we're looking at one new licensing program, residential solar sales. Y'all may have heard about this. This is a bill we worked on with Senator Zaccarini's office during the interim. That office and many other offices, for a little background, over the last 2 years, received just an enormous amount of complaints about door-to-door sales from residential solar salespeople and solar sales company. Many of them out of state, many of them sort of, fair to say, kind of fly by night. There is case after case after case of people getting signing up for things that they didn't know what they were signing up for, finding themselves $40,000, $50,000, $70,000 in debt. Liens on homes, things like that. So this became a big issue for the legislature. Again, Senator Zaccarini in particular started championing this cause. And so that bill is effective 9/1/25. Rules are required by June 1/26, and registration is not required until 9/1/26. So we have a little breathing room before the registration is required. But essentially what it does is it requires registration for the door-to-door salespeople and for the companies, the sales companies, if they are not already licensed otherwise in Texas. Now, you'll find some electrical contractors that are already licensed with us. They don't have to get licensed by this. There's an exemption for them. And that was real important to see that in there. So it's not like another layer of regulation or licensing for them. If they're already licensed, they don't need a new license. But for these mostly out-of-state folks who are coming in, they're going to have to come through us first before they're going to be allowed to operate. So look to hear more about that. Again, rules should be coming up next spring, I would imagine, and licensing in next fall. So that was really it as far as new licensing programs. There was a change to Transportation Network Company statute, which will now fold in delivery network companies. These are your, what do you call them? You know, Grubhub, DoorDash, Uber Eats, those types of folks. They will have to be registered now as similar to a transportation network company. So they will get licensed. They will, have to provide certain information. They'll have to, there will be regulations about what they'll have to do as far as insurance and how they handle their drivers. But like the transportation network company, regulation, it's not a lot on our plate. It's kind of regulation for the business that they have to follow. We'll accept complaints and we'll, do investigations as asked, but it's a very light touch regulatory program. So, and again, it's an expansion of the current statute. It's not a new statute by itself. So that starts 9/1/25. Should be seeing something about that very soon. Other than that, there were just a few symbolic things. There was, we have a seat now on the Texas Energy Waste Advisory Committee. Courtney is a member of that committee, along with NEC, ERCOT, Comptroller, TCEQ, and don't ask me what they do because they don't exist yet. So I'm not sure exactly what it's about, but we are there and in our capacity as overseeing electricians. So that's really it. I will highlight two more things on anti-trafficking. He already mentioned SB 2167, SB 610 by Senator Paxton. Also, y'all may have recognized this last session. We had a strategic initiative to fold in anti-trafficking into Chapter 51, so that we had authority across all of our programs when it came to human trafficking. That didn't succeed last session. It was filed again this session, and it was successful this time. So now we have this authority in Chapter 51, which gives us authority to work with local, state, federal law enforcement when it comes to human trafficking. And there's kind of no more gray area there about that. That's now in statute. And it also, importantly, it protects victims' identity. It gives us the authority to sort of keep their identity concealed if there's open records requests or information requests, things like that. So
That's why
yeah.
I had a question.
Yeah.
If the Uber drivers are still following, where they have to get educated to be an Uber driver?
Yes. They are required to do human trafficking education. Yes, that's part of their, and I believe that's in this for the delivery driver. I have to check, but I almost 99% sure that's in the same for the delivery drivers.
But I mean, so Uber people take care of the fact that they
Yes.
need, okay.
Yes.
And report to us.
Yes, yes. It's not something, because we don't regulate the drivers, so it's not something that
Right.
we check, but they are, as part of the company's responsibility, they're supposed to make sure that gets done. So, yeah.
Thank you.
And I'll also go over the cleanups real quick. There's a lot of cleanups, but we won't spend too much time on that.
Right. Yes, I won't go through all the cleanups, but overall, we had 32 cleanup bills filed on behalf of TDLR. Oftentimes, it's a challenge to get legislators to care about our little cleanup bills, which are mainly tweaks to the code, things that were ambiguous, things that need to be cleared up. So we got 32 of those filed by the legislature, and 16 of those bills passed. And so that's a 50% passage rate. For context, the passage rate for the entire legislature is 14%. TDLR's passage rate was 50%. Good marks on our passage rates for that. I will mention one of them in our massage therapy program, SB 703, was passed by Senator Zaffarini, which was critical in closing a loophole in our enforcement programs for sexual assault. So as you know, if you get convicted of sexual assault, you cannot get a massage license here at TDLR. Oftentimes, we've seen prosecutors willing to plead down with some of their defendants to give them an indecent assault charge instead of a sexual assault charge. And so oftentimes people would still be able to obtain a license with an indecent assault charge. So this bill closed that loophole and made sure that if you get convicted of indecent assault, you cannot get a license to perform massage therapy services in the state of Texas. So that was critical for us to be able to close that loophole and get that done. So we're able to get that done this session.
Do we get tips to go to these massage therapies, or how does that work?
Sure. Yes, we get tips from either individuals who were attended a massage therapy, whether they're a victim or they knew somebody, or it's someone in the business, or for law enforcement, and we also partner with AG's office.
And even citizens too. We've had some, a number of cases. I could specify one in, I believe in Vernon, where a citizen, active citizen led to, 3 places being shut down. Yeah, yeah. So any and all comers. That's about it. There's a lot more in here, but always, yeah.
What about this little thing called special?
Yeah.
Anything we should know about that?
So we're still waiting on, special, as you know, special's gonna start on June 21st. Sorry, July, it's way past June. July 21st. The governor has not released the call yet for the special session, so we're looking out for that to make sure that nothing on the call has anything to do with TDLR or will impact TDLR. We don't expect that to be so, but of course, we won't know until we see the call. As you know, one of the largest issues facing the state of Texas when it comes to this special session is the THC law that was vetoed by the governor. That would be priority number one. We're gonna have boots on the ground to ensure that that won't impact TDLR. Perhaps, hopefully,
Don't say that out loud.
perhaps we'll go to a different agency. But all indications is that it will go to a different agency, but we're gonna be watching out for that.
What
Of course,
is
anything
THR?
else.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry, the THR.
THC is a marijuana.
THC,
Okay.
marijuana, and so that was a priority for Lieutenant Governor to close down those smoke shops that were largely unregulated here in Texas, state of Texas. So that's going to be a high priority for the special session. And of course, as you know, the flood mitigation now is top of the mind for everyone.
Right. 2 things, I guess, Courtney. Is there anything that we need to gear up for, especially after this flood, that we need to prepare as far as enforcement? Anybody being victimized in regards to some of this? We need to make sure that's on a heat map for us. Which,
The team had a meeting yesterday. Often after a disaster, the governor's office may contact agencies and ask what kind of waivers we need to consider or they need to approve on our behalf. And so there was a meeting yesterday to start talking about that and what are some of the considerations we should have. We don't have a list to share with you today, but there are ongoing conversation across all the departments about, and we've looked back at previous waivers that we've submitted to make sure we don't miss anything, but.
just want to make sure that we approach this as diligently as possible in regards to similar to a hurricane, whether it's towing or whatever it is. We want to make sure that whatever we need to do, just keep us informed on that. One of the things I think is going to be important is to look at, as we evaluate enforcement, right? Heat maps are very critical with enforcement, right? You're able to learn a lot.
Yeah.
And not only with enforcement, but all enforcement processes aren't equal. Right, some may be a little more minor, some are very severe. So I think we just need to make sure we approach this with a heat map mentality, making sure that there's more egregious enforcement opportunities that we need to tackle. So I'm not sure what legislative wise, but we just need to be aware of what those, because I think there's a lot of cleanup opportunities that we just aren't even aware of as we adopt. Right, human trafficking. I know that Financial Crime Center has been a great success.
Great success.
Right, I know one of our commissioners is high on trying to get a human trafficking center to gather the intelligence associated with what needs to be done, because it is a map, if you will, right? Skimming is another heat map. So those like through financial. I want to make sure that we look at these and now that we're in the medical arena, how we approach those enforcement opportunities to clean that up versus where we are with the solar cells.
Sounds to me like you're ready to start talking about the next round of strategic initiatives.
Yeah.
Now that we're done
Well,
with this.
I'm not ready to do anything. Right? but I just think that it's just something that we need to wrap our minds around, in part absorbing what we have to absorb. Where you at, John? The IT system. There you go. The IT system. All the things that are working through. Commissioners, I think that I'm going to make sure, and actually, can you make sure and send an email to each commissioner? The legislative, every committee, we have committees, right?
Sure.
So Dr. Weston is going to be on the lottery. Right. My mind is almost on, so you got on 2 minutes. As each of these, I want to make sure that each of these commissioners meet with their committee by August, so at least have a report to us, okay?
Yes, sir.
I know that one of them would be midwives, and so, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, and just give me a sec. And through that process, if there's anything that comes up on special session.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
You can let us know as soon as you can. Okay?
We'll be watching. Absolutely.
And legislative committee, okay. Yes, Commissioner.
On the, electric cars,
EVs, yes.
yes, are they installing anymore? Has that halted? Is
I-
that?
Don't know the current count, but I mean, I've been seeing reports several months ago during session. Yeah, it's been a pretty steady clip. The chargers, there were several thousand around March, I believe. It was the last time I looked.
Who
but
makes that decision?
What decision?
The EV charger installation, it's largely, it's private business.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's where our regulation comes in, is the private industry. And as they register, as they build those, they register with us now. They get a permit, kind of just like the gas pumps, right? They get a
Yeah.
permit. So
It's just in my area, you just kind of don't see them quite often.
it's really a business driven decision, I think.
Mhm.
And I do think there are some local government entities that are kind of at work at this, but I think it's probably more the big cities that are pushing that. I think in the smaller areas or more rural areas, it's less prevalent, unless industry wants it there. Yeah.
Anything else?
Speaking of heat maps, I think we have a heat map of where they all are, right? It's just like that, so, yeah.
I don't
All right.
have one, but still.
Courtney? Did you inform your intern that they have to recite all 1,213 of those bills?
Yes, they're working.
Which one of you are those intern? That you?
Already live there, yeah.
Oh, that's you. Good luck. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes. All right. All right, commissioners, we are going to have a meeting August 21st.
Correct.
Right, correct. So make sure that you plan accordingly. On that, if we move, I've been prodded, pushed in the back of the head by our executive director to make sure that we are gonna have to really be more diligent about having systematic meetings and like every third Tuesday or whatever that is, because space is gonna become more limited as we move to the new building. So just be mindful if you have, don't tell me now, but if, or actually don't tell me at all, tell Carnisa.
Yeah.
Right? Don't tell me at all, I don't want to hear it. Tell her if there's like certain taboo days, let us know, or there are days that are very advantageous, let us know. Please let the other commissioners know that aren't here.
Yes, sir.
So that we can press that system into play, probably, I'm thinking next year sometime, beginning next year.
Yes, sir. I'll send out an email to poll everyone
Okay.
on their best
They'll give
days.
us a lot of choices, because then it's just,
Yes, ma'am.
Like
I will.
a TT or
Noted.
There won't be many choices. We'll keep it simple. Yeah, if you don't mind sending that out, that'd be great. And
Yes,
then
sir.
we'll just kind of build that out, because with the lottery, I think now that it's by statute, we have to meet every other month, right? Is that correct? So 6 times a year?
Oh,
Am I missing something? No,
Ideally, we would get on an every other month rotation,
that's what we're, okay. So I didn't know if that was exact, maybe I missed
and the
that.
lottery commission meets 6 times a year.
6 times, they do meet 6 times a year.
Yes.
So Aggie math says every other month, right?
Yes.
So are any of these optional for,
So, I'm sorry?
if any of these are optional, so we can, call it in, or?
I'm gonna try to reduce that. The virtual call-ins, I'm probably gonna pull that back a little bit. So,
Okay.
Okay.
So now we're up to how many?
6 meetings a year. Well, we'll
Okay.
discuss. All right. Anything else, commissioners? Commissioners? All right. Good. Doug? All right. I'll take a motion. Make a motion. Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.